ফোন এভাবে তুমি ধরবে না, ফোন যদি ও পাঠায় ও আবার ফোন করবে।
Hare Krishna, everybody. Can I be heard? Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu. Yes.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. Welcome back after 2 weeks of break. I hope you had good Ram Navami and other festivals. Mayapur is quite hot. We are experiencing some heat wave. It's a 40 plus. So let us continue with just quick summary. Where we at? I just checked on YouTube. We stop at the 40, the text 40. So if you remember, we started the seventh canto, and it all started with the Parikshit Maharaj inquiry about Lord's partiality, apparent partiality, and then there is a long philosophical answer by Shukadeva Goswami, and then he's citing conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni during the Rajasura sacrifice after Lord Krishna beheaded Shishupal, and then Yudhishthira asked Narada Muni how did Shishupal attain liberation, and then at that point Narada Muni starts describing the glory of absorption in Krishna, and he's making the point: if one is thinking of Krishna even with enmity or anger, still, because of this deep absorption, one becomes liberated. And then he starts describing the story of Shishupal and Dantavakara's previous lives, describing the Devajaya and Vijaya in Vaikuntha. And at that point, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked in disbelief how could associate or Lord Vishnu fall to the material world. And then the Narada Muni described the circumstances that they were actually cursed by the Kumaras. And we are in the middle of that conversation, so we'll proceed, and I'll just quickly share my screen. So we are at the Shloka 40, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskritam Naram Cheva Narottam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya Nashta Presha Bhadash Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhakti. Shtaki. So Shloka 40. So Narada Muni is describing Jagate Tau Dite Putrau. So 2 sons of Diti, Daitya Dhanava Vanditau, Nakashipur Jeshto, Hiranyaksho Nujastata. These 2 associates of the Lord, Jai and Vijay, later descending to the material world, taking birth as the 2 sons of Diti, Nakashipu being the elder and Hiranyaksha the younger. They were very much respected by the Daityas and Dhanavas, demoniac species. There are no commentaries either by Prabhupada or Vishnu Chakravarti or Jiva Goswami on this verse. If I remember properly, the Hiranyaksha was the one born first, and Hiranyakashipu was born second, but still Hiranyakashipu is considered older because he was the first conceived. So in that sense, the seniority is determined, but the one who was first conceived, because they were twins in a womb. So one had to come first. So the younger one came out first, and the older one came out second. Although in the normal usage of words, we would refer to him as the younger because he was born later. And this was just probably minutes from delivery of one to another. So there is not much different birth time. So I guess they had very similar charts. Sometimes they ask in astrology, what about identical twins when they're born? And somehow they still happen to have different karma. Actually, most of these identical twins, they have quite similar lives, but sometimes it happens that their lives become different because just these couple of minutes, they change the position of planets. They can be born when one rising sun is changing into another, and then in that short period until the second one is born, the planets can change, and they can have different karma and different lives. But generally, they have similar karma and similar lives. As Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, they were both demons, they had similar mentality, and they were both killed by the Lord. So quite similar karma. Just one was younger, then another one was older. And in the Vedic culture, the older brother is always served and worshipped by the younger one. So the Hiranyaksha, he was a humble servant of Hiranyakashipu. 41. Hato Hiranyakashipur Harina Simharupina Hiranyaksho Dharo Dhare Vibrata Shaukaram Vapu. Appearing as Nrsimhadev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari killed Hiranyakashipu. When the Lord delivered the planet Earth, which had fallen in the Garbhodaka ocean, Hiranyaksha tried to hinder him, and then the Lord, as Varaha, killed Hiranyaksha. So Vishnu comments, while lifting the earth, Dhari, Varaha killed Hiranyaksha. Dharudhari. Shukaravapu, the Lord in the form of boar, Shukara.
Can I ask a slightly unrelated question?
Yes.
So are some of these demonic sort of higher demonic residents lived in the higher planetary system, or are all on the lower planetary system?
As I understand, the Daityas, Dhanavas, and other races of different demons, they are below Bhumandala. But still, in Antariksha, you have Yakshas and Rakshasas, which is above Bhumandala, but it's still below the Swarga, below the heavenly planets. So it's a
Yeah. So
summary.
the question was relative to Bhumandala. So yeah. So Rakshasas live technically in some of them in the more higher planetary system than Bhumandala. Yeah.
Yeah, they're hard in Antariksha. It's a region actually that is not very far away from Bhumandala. It's they say where the birds can still fly, where the clouds can reach. Basically on the top layers of atmosphere.
So the question was more Vedically or philosophically. How comes the Rakshasas are technically on a higher planetary system than Bhumandala, i.e. the humans? So if we die and we have demonic nature, does that mean you're going into a higher planetary system regardless of your more demonic nature? It's kind of a counter logical, that's all.
Well, it depends on your karma, the activities you perform, plus your nature. So Daityas, Dhanavas, and even Yakshas and Rakshasas, regardless of the physical location of their planets, they live in a greater opulence than humans. The lower planetary realms, they're quite opulent. Just the sun is not there, and the Yakshas and Rakshasas, the sun is there because it's above Bhumandala. But the association there is this demoniac association. Nagas is also below the Bhumandala. There's Nagaloka, and Nagas there, they are very envious, but they all enjoy with their family members and party basically and enjoy life without working hard. That means that they still perform some good karma to deserve that enjoyment, but because they had a demoniac bhava, demoniac nature, they didn't want a god in their enjoyment. They were put in such places, regardless of the physical location. So higher doesn't necessarily, mean it's more pious. It's more divine. It's more godly. So Yakshas and Rakshasas, yeah, it's described there in the 5th canto. If you remember that they're in the Antariksha region, but that's still below the demigods, but it's above the Bhumandala. So why they are there exactly and not below the Bhumandala, I don't know. There must be some reason. They can fly, maybe because they have some cities to fly. Nagas below Bhumandala, they swim. It's a kind of watery region, so they can swim. And these other daityas and Dhanavas, they have their own realms. And yeah, most of them are below Bhumandala. But as Hiranyakashipu, actually, where is this all happening with the Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj? We sometimes are told, oh, it's happening in Ahovalam, here on earth. Yeah, the Lord might have also appeared there, but my sense was that it's not really happening in Bhumandala. If you know the Hiranyakashipu, he conquered the whole heavenly planets in Swarga. And that originally he was living, his kingdom was kingdom of Daityas and Danavas, and that's below the Bhumandala. But because he was so powerful, he could go up above the Bhumandala and conquer all these heavenly kingdoms. So the physical location was not obstacle for him to go and conquer. Meaning, if he conquered the heavenly, the Swarga, he also conquered whole Bhumandala. Nobody could really, in 3 worlds, nobody could face him.
Yeah, because we have a
Yeah.
similar situation with Ravana, who Ravana lives in Lanka, which is in Bhumandala. I was surprised that Kuber.
Sorry, I'll need to mute somebody. Somebody is mixing up. 1 second. Yeah, please mute whoever is in the background. Okay, I'll have to mute. I think
আমি দেখেছি 12টার সময় দেখেছি
Santarupa Mataji, could you mute,
Okay,
please?
I'm muted. I'm a host, so I can mute. Yeah, you said Ravana. Yeah, the
Yes.
Lanka was on Bhumandala, and he's a demon, but he's a Rakshasa, actually. Technically speaking, both Vibhishan and Ravana, they belong to the Rakshasa species, demoniac species. But still, Vibhishan, he had a divine nature. He was a devotee. Although he was born he had that Rakshasa body, meaning he could fly in the sky. This is how he came to surrender to Lord Ram, by flying. But their kingdom, the Lanka, was on Bhumandala. So it's not necessarily, to be below or above. But but generally, for example, you can say, Americans live in America, but you find Americans also outside of America on another continents, not only in America. So similarly, Rakshasas also had their kingdom in Bhumandala, although their original kingdom would be somewhere in Antariksha, where the other Rakshasas are. This is how I understand it. There is not much clear description of these things anywhere. There's some indications here and there. So whatever we can gather. So my
Thank you.
sense.
Sorry for distracting you, Prabhu.
Yeah, no problem. So my sense is also that this story of Hiranyakashipu and Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj, that it's not actually happening in on Bhumandala and in India, as some people would like to say, Ahovalam, here, there, but it's actually happening in the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu, below the Bhumandala. Or maybe even could happen on heavenly planets. Some people are saying that it happened in Swarga because he conquered Swarga, then he was living there, which is also possible. Because all demigods, they fled. So maybe Hiranyakashipu just chose to live in Swarga instead of living in lower heavenly planets. In any case, the physical location is not that important. That's why Bhagavatam is not really giving much indication where is it happening. Okay, let's proceed. 42. Hiranyakashipu putram Praladam Keshava Priyam Jighamsur Akkarunana Yatana Nrityu. Designed to kill his son Prahlad, was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu tortured him in many ways. Tam sarva bhuthatma bhutam prashantam samadarshanam bhagavat tejasis prishtam nashaknod dantum udyamai. The Lord, the super soul of all living entities, is sober, peaceful, and equal to everyone. Since the great devotee Prahlad was protected by the Lord's potency, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill him, in spite of endeavoring to do so in various ways. Purport. In this verse, word Sarva Bhutatma Bhutam is very significant. Ishwar Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord is equally situated in the core of everyone's heart. Thus, he cannot be envious of anyone or friendly to anyone. For him, everyone is the same. Although he sometimes seems to punish someone, this is exactly like a father punishing his child for the child's welfare. The Supreme Lord's punishment is also a manifestation of the Lord's equality. Therefore, the Lord is described as Prashantam Samadarshanam. Although the Lord has to execute his will properly, he is equiposed in all circumstances. He is equally disposed towards everyone. Prashantam Samadarshanam, that's the Lord, equally disposed toward everyone. So Prahlad was dear like one's very self to all beings. Sarva Bhutatma Bhutam, he was peaceful because of having no hatred towards his father who tried to kill him. He saw his and others' happiness and distress equally. And I think that Jiva Goswami also has some comment on this one. Yes, here. So he comments, he could not kill Prahlad because Prahlad was touched by the power of the Lord, since he was always absorbed in the Lord. Thus he was loved by all beings, Sarabhutatma Bhutam, and was thus without agitation, Prashantam, and was without attachment or hatred for anything, Samadarshan, Darshanam. Therefore he could not kill him. So yeah, the point here that due to his absorption in the Lord, Prahlad was touched by the power of the Lord. The Lord Shakti was present in him, and that Shakti was protecting him. And this is the reason why Hiranyakashipu could not kill him. So if somebody asks how to get the Lord's protection, what would be your answer? Anybody? Pray to the Lord.
To chant the holy name of the Lord.
Yeah, chant the holy name of the Lord. Yeah, here we have. Yes,
Surrender.
Mataji.
Surrender.
Surrender, that's also good. Here in Mayapur, we have Ugra Nrsimhadev, and many devotees, they pray for protection, and they make these offerings, plates with the fruits and different things, praying for different things for their family members, this one, that one, devotees they know, praying for protection. In Fujipataka March, every morning they're doing some sort of puja after the Bhagavatam class. So yeah, this is also one of the way, but the way that was pointing here in this verse was become absorbed in the Lord. And then naturally you will be protected by Lord's power. You will be touched by the power of the Lord, and then you'll be protected. So this is the surest way to be completely protected. If you just become totally absorbed in thoughts of the Lord, then you're sure that you're completely protected. And then you don't need to pray. You don't need to do pujas and yagyas and pray, oh Lord, please protect me. Prahlad Maharaj, he didn't pray actually for protection. He didn't pray, oh, please protect me. No, he was completely fearless. And this was due to his absorption in remembrance of Krishna. So this is the best way to be protected. Then you don't need to pray for protection at all. If you become completely absorbed 24/7 in remembrance of the Lord. 44. Tatastau rakshasau jathau keshinyam vishvasutau ravana kumbhakarnasya sarvaloka pataphanau. Therefore, the same Jaya and Vijay, the two doorkeepers of Lord Vishnu, took birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, begotten by Vishrava in the womb of Keshini. They were extremely troublesome to all the people of the universe. So this was their next birth. It's Ravana and Kumbhakarna. So first they were born as, Daityas, in the race of Daityas. And then they were born in the race of Rakshasas, both are demoniac races. But Prahlad was also born in demoniac race, and still he was a devotee. Vibhishan was also born in a demoniac race, still he was a devotee. So not necessarily by being born in a certain body that you carry the same bhava, but it's predominantly there because due to association. If you're born amongst the demons, due to the association, you generally also carry the same envious nature because of demonic association. But Prahlad, for example, he was not touched by that bad association. Although in some places he prays to Lord for protection from this Asat Sangha, the association of demons, because he naturally has to associate with them because they are his family members or country kinsmen, or they belong to the same race. So tatrapi ragavo bhutva nyahana chapa muktaye rama viryam shroshyasitvam markandeya mukhat prabhu. Narada Muni continued, my dear king, just to relieve Jaya and Vijay of the Brahmana's curse, Lord Ramachandra appeared in order to kill Ravana and Kumbhakarna. It will be better for you to hear narrations about the Lord Ramachandra's activities from Markandeya. So Narada Muni here doesn't want to start speaking about Lord Ramachandra because it will take long time. Ramayana is very long. It's longer than Bhagavatam. So he's referring Yudhishthira Maharaj to Markandeya Rishi because he can describe in the activities of Lord Ramachandra. And Markandeya was also present there for Rajeshwar sacrifice. That's why Narada Muni is recommending him. So it's not described whether Yudhishthira Maharaj later sat with Markandeya and heard about Lord Rama's activities. 46. Tavatra kshatriyau jathau matri shvasratmajyotva aduna shapa nirmuktau Krishna chakra atamhasau. In their third birth, the same giant Vijay appeared in a family of Kshatriyas as your cousins, the sons of your aunt. Because Krishna has struck them with his disc, all their sinful reactions have been destroyed, and now they are free from the curse. So he's speaking this while they were already killed. In their last birth, Jan Vijay did not become demons or Rakshasas. Instead, they took birth in a very exalted Kshatriya family related to Krishna's family. They became first cousins of Lord Krishna and were practically on the equal footing with him. By personally killing them with his own disc, Lord Krishna destroyed whatever sinful reactions were left in them because of the curse of the Brahmanas. Narada Muni explained to Maharaj Yudhishthira that by entering Krishna's body, Shishupala re-entered Vaikuntha Loka as the Lord's associate. Everyone had seen this incident. So, first birth was amongst Daityas and Danavas as one of them. Then second birth was as Rakshasas. And then third birth was quite aristocratic birth, exalted Kshatriya family, which was related to Krishna's family. You can say this is very pious birth. So how did they acquire that piety to be born in such exalted family lineage, Krishna's family lineage? Well, just by being killed by Lord Ramachandra, they attained this opulence. They didn't attain liberation, but they attained the higher birth. And this was the benefit they acquired just by seeing and being killed by the Lord. Similarly, when Hiranyakashipu was killed and Hiranyaksha, when they were killed, they were also upgraded and again born in very opulent circumstances. Ravana, he lived in the city of the gold, golden city was Lanka. So again, that was the result of their contact with the Lord. But it was not liberation. Why? Because only demons killed by Krishna, the Swam Bhagavan, they immediately attain liberation. Not other expansions of the Lord. So Vishnu Chakra Thakur says their sin was destroyed by Krishna's chakra. Their offense was external only. They took the forms of Shishupal and Dantavakra, but they were not killed. This is Sridhar Swami's explanation. Just as the impurities of gold are destroyed by fire, but the gold is not destroyed, so the two were purified of the external covering and contamination, but were not destroyed. Jaya and Vijaya, in the form of two masses of effulgence, entered Krishna as was seen by the public. So, like two balls of light, they entered into the Krishna's body. So externally it looked like they were merging in Krishna, but in reality that merging was just a momentary. Second later they attained personal liberation.
Hare
What is
Krishna
it?
Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, I have one question. So you see, Jaya and Vijaya, they have 3 births, and but as far as I see, these 3 births they are not continuous
I
birth.
couldn't understand what first thing you said. Jaya and Vijay, they were sinless, you said? Or what?
They
Sinful.
have three births.
3
Three
words,
births.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the first one, Hiranyakasipu and
Yeah.
Hiranyaksha.
Yes.
And the second one, Ravana and Kumbhakara.
Yes, yes.
And the third one, Shishupha and
Dantavakra.
Dandavada. So I mean, my question means that it says that their birth is not continuous. I mean, a different yoga, or how to understand this?
Oh, okay. I think I understand what you mean. Yeah. You think if I die tomorrow and then I enter immediately the womb, and then after 9 months, I'm born. For example, I die in 2024, so I'm supposed to take birth at the beginning of 2025 after 9 months. This is what you're talking about. So yeah. Well, it's not necessarily that the birth has to take place like that, because obviously here between Ravana and between Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha's birth, which was in Satya Yuga, and then their birth in Treta Yuga, and then their birth in Dwapara Yuga, there is many years, thousands if not millions. So your question is where they were in between the births.
Yeah.
Where they were in between the birds, where the soul was in between the birds. Yeah, this is difficult question, and I don't really know. It's not described anywhere, but for example, if a person who is now on earth and he dies tomorrow, and then he can, if he is pious, he can be promoted to Svarga and spend according to his piety, according to his Sukriti, spend 1 year there. 1 year in Svarga is like 100 years here. It's much longer period. And then when he's again born as a human, there'll be gap of 100 years. So, but I'm not saying that they were in heaven. They were maybe just suspended in the Brahma Jyoti, just waiting for this time to pass. They were just maybe in some region where the time doesn't really count.
Yeah.
In order to wait for the right time for them to be born again. So in that state, they were maybe just basically sleeping. That like a jiva when it merges into the body of Mahavishnu at the end of at the end of the universe, you're just unconscious in a kind of sleep state, inactive state. So I assume they were in some sort of inactive sleeping state in between these birds, but I don't have any reference to this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let us, this was 46. Let me see if Jiva Goswami has something here. No, he has on a 47 only. Okay, let us read verse 47. Yeah, between human birds, there could be other birds, you know. It's not necessarily then one has to take continuous human birds. It could be birds either in lower or higher planetary systems according to one's karma. And the time, you know, time there is completely different than time on Earth. So if one spends some time there, when he comes back again to Bhumandala and to take birth as a human, then yoga can pass in between. So it doesn't need to be continuous. It's all according to one's karma. So 47. Varnu bandha tivrena dhyanena achyuta satmatam nita punar harer parshvam jagmatur Vishnu parshadam. These two associates of Lord Vishnu, Jaya and Vijay, maintain a feeling of enmity for a very long time. Because of always thinking of Krishna in this way, they regain the shelter of the Lord, having returned home back to Godhead. Just one second, let me try to increase the zoom a little bit because I don't have my glasses and my eyesight is not very good. Can we? Okay, I think it's better now. Purport. So maintain a feeling of envy for a very long time. What was that long time? Well, since Satya to Treta to Dwapara Yuga, it was some millions of years. Whatever their position, certainly Jaya and Vijay always thought of Krishna. Therefore, at the end of Maushala Lila, these two associates of the Lord returned to Krishna. There's no difference between Krishna's body and Narayan's body. Therefore, although they visibly enter the body of Krishna, they actually re-enter Vaikuntha Loka as the doorkeepers of Lord Vishnu. Though Lord Krishna's body, through Lord Krishna's body, they return to Vaikuntha, although they seem to have attained Sayujya Mukti in Krishna's body. Vishnu Chakra Thakur Achyuta Satmatham Nithau means that they attain the state of their forms, Atmatham, being situated with Krishna by intense meditation. After Krishna's disappearance pastime, they return to the side of Narayan, since Narayan was also within Krishna's body after the time of Krishna's disappearance. Thus, Jaya and Vijaya also entered Krishna's body and remained there. That Shishupal and Dantavakra merged with Krishna is a perception of the common people. This is just external perception. But actually they attain their Swarup, their original position. And another point made here is that because Krishna is the Swam Bhagavan, means all other expansions and forms of him, they are present in Krishna's body. So Narayan is also present in Krishna's form. And he can manifest it if he likes. There is that description when Krishna was in the forest and then in order to hide from the gopis, he manifested that four-handed Vishnu form in order to deceive them. But when Radharani came, he couldn't deceive her because he had to resume back his original form due to her love. He couldn't hide his real identity. But it was to show that Narayan is also present within Krishna. And vice versa doesn't, it's not. Correct. Narayan is a part of Krishna. Krishna is not a part of Narayan. 47. Jiva Goswami. He says, having described compliance with Brahmana's desires, when the Kumaras uttered a curse, the desire to fight with descriptions of constant battles as causes is understood to be the main cause of this pastime. By the desire of the Lord, the Kumaras and the doorkeepers developed a disagreement. The Lord spoke to his two associates, go to the material world, do not be afraid, you have good fortune, but also do not go to that world. Though I can nullify the curse of the Brahmana, I do not desire to do so against my own rules. So Lord could actually, nullify the curse of Kumaras and let Jan Vijay stay in Vaikuntha, but he didn't want to go against his own rules, and he made a rule that the curse of Brahmana is effective. It will take effect in order that everybody is very careful not to offend the Brahmanas. It was actually impossible for the extreme curse to be uttered. It was only appearance of curse. Because of that cause, the previous verse also shows this. So it was just the will of the Lord for the sake of the pastimes. Otherwise, Kumaras would not utter such a curse. And going back, 48. Yudhishthira Vidveshvo Daite Putre Katam Asin Mahatmani Bruhime Bhagavan Yena Praladasya Achyutatmatma. What happened? Yeah. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired, "O my lord, Narada Muni, why was there such enmity between Hiranyakashipu and his beloved son Prahlad Maharaj? How did Prahlad Maharaj become such a great devotee of Lord Krishna? Kindly explain this to me." Purport: all the devotees of Lord Krishna are called Achyutatma because they follow in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj. Achyuta refers to the infallible Lord Vishnu, whose heart is always infallible. Because the devotees attached to the infallible, they are called Achyutatma. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, please explain that by which Prahlad developed complete concentration on Achyuta. And thus ends the commentary of the first chapter, and we are starting the second chapter.
Well,
Yes.
yeah, I remember another thing. And then
Please.
this Jaya and Vijaya, they also took the fourth birth as Jagai and Madai.
Yes, sometimes we hear that. It's not mentioned in the Bhagavatam, but they were actually not forced to do that, as I understood, but it was due to their desire to participate in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. They voluntarily descended as Jagai and Madai.
Yeah, very
I
good.
think so. Yeah, otherwise there was no curse. But they thought Lord Chaitanya is the most magnificent of all incarnations. And we already met, Lord Nrsimhadev, and we met Lord Ramachandra, we met Lord Krishna, but we'll miss Lord Chaitanya because there is no curse for us, there is no fourth birth. So let us voluntarily go. So they descended on their own. And somehow they had a little bit of that at first, of that bhava of being drunkards and sinful men. And they played the role until Lord Chaitanya didn't deliver them. So check the summary. As described in this chapter, after the annihilation of Hiranyakashi's sons and his brother Hiranyakashipu were very much aggrieved. Naturally, when your brother or your father is killed by somebody, you're very much angry at the murderer. So Hiranyakashipu reacted very sinfully by trying to diminish the religious activities of people in general. However, he instructed his nephews about a history just to diminish their aggrievement. So when the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as the boar and killed Hiranyakashipu's brother Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu was very much aggrieved. In anger, he accused the Supreme Personality of Godhead of being partial to his devotees and derided the Lord's appearance as Varaha to kill his brother. He began to agitate all the demons and Rakshasas to disturb the ritualistic ceremonies of the peaceful sages and other inhabitants of earth. For want of the performance of yajna, sacrifice, the demigods began wandering unseen on earth. After finishing the ritualistic funeral ceremonies of his brother, Hiranyakashipu began speaking to his nephews, quoting from the Shastra about the truth of life. To pacify them, he spoke as follows: My dear nephews, for heroes to die before the enemy is glorious. According to their different fruitive activities, living entities come together within this material world and again separated by the laws of nature. We should always know, however, that the spirit soul, which is different from the body, is eternal, unadjustable, pure, all-pervading, and aware of everything. So he had Atma Tattva, he had a knowledge of the soul. So he was a quite educated demon. When bound by the material energy, the soul takes birth in higher or lower species of life, according to varying association, and in this way receives various types of bodies in which to suffer or enjoy. Once affliction by the conditions of material existence is the cause of happiness and distress, there are no other causes, and one should not be aggrieved upon seeing the superficial actions of karma. Modern day demons, they absolutely have zero knowledge of what Hiranyakashipu had, but still, his knowledge was theoretical. He didn't act on it, so that's why it was useless. Hiranyakashipu then related a historical incident concerning a king Suyadya, who resided in a country named Ushinara. When the king was killed, his queens, overwhelmed with the grief, received instructions which Hiranyakashipu quoted to his nephews. Hiranyakashipu related an account of Kulinga bird pierced by the arrow of a hunter while lamenting for his wife, who had also been shot by the same hunter. By narrating these stories, Hiranyakashipu pacified his nephews and other relatives and relieved them of lamentation. Thus, having been pacified, Diti and Rishabhanu, Hiranyakashipu's mother and sister-in-law, engaged their minds in spiritual understanding. Shinadu Vacha Brathar Yevam Vinihate Harina Kroda Murtina Hiranyakashipu Rajan Paryatapyad Rushashicha. So Kroda Murti, he was a Kroda Murti. Shinarada Muni said, My dear King Yudhishthir, when Lord Vishnu, in the form of Varaha, the boar, killed Hiranyaksha, Hiranyaksha's brother Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and began to lament. So he became mad and out of anger. Yudhishthir had inquired from Narada Muni why Hiranyakashipu was so envious of his own son Prahlad. Narada Muni began narrating the story by explaining how Hiranyakashipu had become a staunch enemy of Lord Vishnu. So there had to be a reason for him to hate Lord Vishnu. And this was the reason, that Lord Vishnu killed his brother. So he felt such a strong bodily attachment to his brother that when he died, he developed such a strong hatred for the Lord Vishnu who killed his brother. I remember reading some accounts of somebody who shot few family members of some Amish. Amish, they are Christians who live in America, very sort of you would say backward lifestyle, without electricity, without any modern amenities. They just use horses and chariots. They live basically like in the 19th century, but they are pious. They they maintain all the Christian manners their ancestors had. And so when some of their family members were killed, I remember reading that they prayed. Actually, they didn't hate the murderer, but they prayed for him. They were forgiving. That was the point. Somehow they were taught in a Christianity that one should forgive the one who throws the stone on you. You should forgive him, not return. So they had that mood, and then some newspaper was writing about that, which was something very unheard of. Usually you want to punish the one who caused you such a great pain, who killed your son or daughter or brother. You want him to go to jail or to be hanged. But no, they were praying for that person. But that's something, praiseworthy. It's something divine that what Jesus Christ showed them. But here we have a demoniac example. His brother was killed, and he developed such a strong hatred for the killer of his brother. So Vishnu Thakur recommends the second chapter to describe how Hiranyakashipu, in grief for his brother's death, engaged in the destruction of dharma and pacified his friends by relating a history, giving instructions on knowledge. In order to explain that the cause of hating Prahlad was hatred of the Lord, first Narada explains the cause of hatred of the Lord. Let us see what Jiva Goswami says. He says just one sentence. Evam is connected with the Paryotapyat. Instead of Murtina, sometimes Rupina is seen. Or Kroda Murtina or Kroda Rupina. Shloka 2. Aha Chedam Rushapurna Sandashta Dashanat Chadaha Kopochvaladhyam Chakshurtyam Nirikshan Dumbram Ambaram. Filled with rage and biting his lips, Hiranyakashipu gazed at the sky with eyes that blazed in anger, making the whole sky smoky. Thus he began to speak. As usual, the demon is envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and inimical toward him. These were Hiranyakashipu's external bodily features, as he considered how to kill Lord Vishnu and devastate his kingdom, Vaikuntha-loka. Vishwanath, he looked at the sky towards Vaikuntha, the abode of Vishnu, thinking, I will destroy Vishnu and his abode with my hands. The sky became smoky, and from the fire coming from his eyes. So meaning he had the knowledge of Lord Vishnu and Vaikuntha, but he didn't think that he was the Lord of everyone, the super soul of everyone. He was thinking that he is just another powerful demigod, another powerful being. But because he was also powerful, he thought, I can kill him. Karala damstrogra drishtya dushprekshya brukti mukha shulam udyamya sadasi danavan idam abravit. Exhibiting his terrible teeth, fierce glance, and frowning eyebrows, terrible to see, he took up his weapon, a trident, and thus began speaking to his associates, the assembled demons. So he said, Bo Bo Dhanava Daitheya Dimurdham Triaksha Shambara Shatabaho Hayagrivan Namuche Paka Ivala Viprachitte Mama Vacha Puloman Shakku Nadaya Shinutan Dantaram Sarve Kripaya Kriyatham Ashu Machiram. O Dhanavas and Daityas, O Vimurda, Triaksha, Shambara, and Shatabahu, O Hayagriva Namuchi, Paka, Ivala, Viprachiti, Puloman, Shakuna, and other demons, all of you kindly hear me attentively and then act according to my words without delay. So this was number 6. I missed to read Jiva Goswami, but he doesn't have much. So 6. Sapatnair Gatitha Kshudrair Bhrata me Daita Suhrit Parshni Grahena Harina Samenap Yupa Dhavanai. My insignificant enemies and demigods have combined to kill my very dear and obedient well-wisher, my brother Hiranyakasha. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu is always equal to both of us, namely the demigods and the demons, this time being devoutly worshipped by the demigods, he has taken the side and helped to kill Hiranyaksha. So Vishnu, generally, he's supposed to be neutral, whether they are to all the races, whether they're Daityas, Danavas, Rakshasas, or Devas in the heaven, he's generally neutral. And even Hiranyakashipu had that conception. But now, because he killed his brother, he thought that he's not neutral and he's siding with the demigods because they worship him, which they do.
Sorry.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes,
I'll
they
let you
do.
finish.
Yes.
You finished? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, I think I
I was just going to
finished.
say here he refers very clearly the Supreme Lord Vishnu. So he knows he's supreme. He's not just a demigod, yeah, because he's referring
Actually,
to.
this is Prabhupada's translation, but if you see in Sanskrit, there is no supreme. So it's Harina. It's just a Hari. But Prabhupada, for us devotees, he translates as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he's just referring to him as Hari. And you can see how Bhanu Swami is translating that. This was, this was which one? 8, the one we read. Oh, this was 6. 6. So, oh, there is no translation over 6. In any way, it's a Prabhupada free translation for devotees. But Hiranyakashipu, we just call him Hari, Hari, Vishnu, with the hatred. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Samahan Sarva Bhuteshu, the Lord is equal to all living entities. Since the demigods and demons are both living entities, how is it possible that the Lord was partial to one class of living beings and opposed to another? Actually, it is not possible for the Lord to be partial. Nonetheless, since the demigods, the devotees, always strictly follow the Supreme Lord's orders, because of sincerity, they are victorious over the demons, who know that the Supreme Lord is Vishnu, but do not follow his instructions. Because of constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, the demon generally attain Sayujya Mukti after death. The demon Hiranyakashipu accused the Lord of being partial because the demigods worship him. But in fact, the Lord, like the government, is not partial at all. The government is not partial to any citizen, but if a citizen is a law-abiding, he receives abundant opportunities from the state laws to live peacefully and fulfill his real interests. And Vishwanath, though Vishnu is equal to all, he has sided with the Devatas out of greed because of their worship. Upadhavana. So he is, projecting material qualities like greed on the Lord. So this is, demoniac mentality. We might have in the heart, greed, lust, anger, envy, and then when we project them in others, then we think also others also have these bad qualities, and then we criticize them. But in reality, these are our bad qualities, and it's a demoniac mentality to project them on others. Whether they have or not, that's a different question. And he projected, greed on the Supreme Lord, who is completely pure and above all material qualities, because his mind was contaminated. And his heart was also contaminated by this greed and lust. So tasya tyakta subhavasya griner maya vana ukkasha bhajantam bhajamanasya balasyeva stiratmana machula bhina grivasya borina arudirina vai asrik priyam tarpayisye bratharam megattavyataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has given up his natural tendency of equality towards the demons and demigods. Although he is the Supreme Person, now influenced by Maya, he has assumed the form of a boar to please his devotees, the demigods, just as a wrestler shies and leans towards someone. I should therefore sever Lord Vishnu's head from his trunk by my trident, and with the profuse blood from his body I shall please my brother Hiranyaksha, who was so fond of sucking blood. Thus shall I too be peaceful. So again here, Prabhupada is using the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but if you see in synonyms, it's just tasya, of him. So it's a Prabhupada who is saying Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let me see how Bhanu Swami translated it. This was number Tasya. He says Vishnu has given up his neutral nature. Though he was shining, he is now an animal under control of Maya. He has accepted the nature of ordinary person and acts unsteadily like a small child. relieving my pain, and I satisfied my brother who was fond of blood with the profuse blood from the neck of Vishnu severed by my trident. Let me go back to Prabhupada's purport. The defect of the demoniac mentality is expressed in this verse very clearly. Hiranyakashipu taught that Vishnu also becomes partial, like a child whose mind is not steady or resolute. The Lord can change his mind at any time, Hiranyakashipu taught, and therefore his words and activities are like those of children. Actually, because the demons are ordinary human beings, their minds change, and being materially conditioned, they think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is conditioned also. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Avajhananti mamuda manusham tanu mashritam. Fools deride me when I descend in a human form. Demons always think that Vishnu can be killed. Therefore, being absorbed in thoughts of Vishnu's form to kill him, at least they have opportunity to think of Vishnu unfavorably. Although they are not devotees, their thinking of Vishnu is effective, and thus they generally attain Sayujya Mukti. Because the demons consider the Supreme Lord an ordinary living being, they think that they can kill Lord Vishnu as one might kill an ordinary person. Another fact disclosed herein is that demons are very much fond of sucking blood. Indeed, all of them are meat eaters and blood suckers. Just a few months ago, I read one article in Guardian, kind of big UK newspaper, where they describing some people who are drinking blood. And the mood of the article was sort of to try to normalize it in order that it's something normal. Some people like blood. Of course, they do not kill anybody, but either take their own blood or buy blood. But somehow they like drinking blood, and they justify that they need something for their health. There's some nutrients there that they cannot get otherwise, so they're drinking blood. So this is the demoniac civilization that it's now even being promoted. Such a big newspaper trying to normalize such a disgusting activity. But it's a fact. Some people just like it. So probably in their next life they will get a natural opportunity to drink blood by being born as Rakshasas or other such entities that naturally have access to blood. So Hiranyakashipu accused the Supreme Lord of having a restless mind like that of a small child who can be induced to do anything if simply offers some cakes and ladus. Indirectly, this indicates the true position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam phalam thoyam yome bhakta prayachati tadaham bhaktipahritam ashnami prayatatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. The Lord accepts the offering of devotees because of their transcendental love. Because they are in love with the Supreme Lord, they do not eat anything without offering it first to the Lord. The Lord does not hanker for a small leaf or flower. He has enough to eat. Indeed, he is feeding all living entities. Nonetheless, because he is very merciful and is Bhakta Vatsala, very favorable to the devotees, he certainly eats whatever they offer him with love and devotion. This quality should not be misjudged to be childish. The highest quality of the Supreme Lord is that he is a Bhaktavatsala. In other words, he is always extremely pleased with his devotees. As for the word Maya, when used in reference to the dealings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, this word means affection. The action of the Lord to favor his devotees are not disqualifications but signs of his natural affection. As for Rudra, or the blood of Lord Vishnu, since there is no possibility of severing Lord Vishnu's head from his body, there is no question of blood. But the garland that decorates Vishnu's body is red as blood. When the demons achieve Sayujya Mukti and leave behind their sinful activities, they are blessed by Vishnu's garland, which is red like blood. After attaining Sayujya Mukti, the demons are sometimes promoted to the Vaikuntha world, where they receive the reward of the Lord's garland, prasad. So there is no question of Lord's blood, because his body is Sachidananda Vigraha. It's not a flesh, bones, and blood. It's a transcendental body. But still, for the sake of the pastimes, when Krishna was when he was driving a chariot of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and Bhishma's arrows were hitting him, still he displayed some drops of blood, although it's not blood as we know. It's not blood of matter. It's just a display of Lord for the sake of the pastimes. Otherwise, we would ask which blood group Krishna has, A or O, plus or minus. No, he has no blood group. And also, when we attain the transcendental Satchidananda body, similar to the Lord's body, there will be no question of blood and blood groups, or anything that we are now bothered in this material body. And Vishwanath, if you think you should also worship Vishnu, please do not say that. You should remain and work for me. I will kill him all alone. This is expressed in 2 verses. But the scriptures say that Vishnu is supreme. Why then do you want to kill him? He's famous as Paramatma for being equal, but he has given up his neutrality. If he has given up that position, then what is the position as Paramatma now? His position is Paramatma now. Rather, he has given up that position and is now simply an animal. He who has shining previously is now an animal, Matsya, Kurma, under the control of Maya. He has become an ordinary person, Bhajantam, and is restless like a child controlled by swaits. So the words also have opposite meaning. Actually, out of affection for his devotees, he gives up his neutrality, takes the form of avatars, shines, becomes like an ordinary person, and is restless like a child. These are his ornaments, not faults. Grine means having pure effulgence. Maya means by his mercy, he accepts different forms. Machula Bhina Grivasya also means my trident will break into pieces on his neck, since my material trident cannot enter his body. I will satisfy my brother with the kunkuma coming from the body of Vishnu. Rudra can mean kunkuma according to the dictionary. So Rudra can be blood, but it can be also kunkuma. So Vishnu always gives the different meaning which is favorable towards the Lord, which is meaning the devotees want to see. Okay, Shloka 9. Tasmin kute hite nashte kritamule vanaspatau vittapa Iva Shushyante Vishnu Prana Divaukasaha. When the root of a tree is cut and the tree falls down, its branches and twigs automatically dry up. Similarly, when I have killed this diplomatic Vishnu, the demigods for whom Lord Vishnu is the life and soul, will lose the source of their life and wither away. Purport: the difference between the demigods and the demons is here explained. The demigods always follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the demons simply plan to disturb or kill him. Nevertheless, sometimes the demons very much appreciate the full dependence of the demigods upon the mercy of the Lord. This is the indirect glorification of the demigods by the demons. So Prabhupada is actually using here Vishwanath Chakravarti's explanation, who says Kute Ahite means Vishnu having deceptive actions, but it also means Vishnu who fights against cheaters like me. That this is my good fortune. There is also good fortune for the Devatas. They live only for Vishnu. Nashte can also mean that Vishnu becomes invisible since he cannot be destroyed. When he disappears from their sight, just as a tree dries up when the root is cut, so the Devatas, whose life is Vishnu, will dry up out of separation. The Devatas are fortunate, having Vishnu as their very life. So this is devotional interpretation of Hiranyakashipu's word. Yes, Mataji.
It seems that some words they have the different meanings, sometimes opposite.
Yes, Sanskrit is such a complex language that one word can have many meanings, and generally, there is a one direct meaning that you can derive from the context. But then, if you're really expert and know the other meanings, you can turn it around and interpret it completely in the opposite way. So Vishnacharya Thakur here, he's turning them around and using the opposite meanings in order to glorify the Lord, to make Hiranyakashipu glorify the Lord. So he's doing this often, and he's very expert in that. So we are not Sanskrit scholars, but Vishnacharya Thakur, he's doing this by. So that's why, yeah, sometimes, statements in Sanskrit, you cannot just rely on them. You need the interpretation of a devotee, of acharya, who will give them proper context and proper meaning. Otherwise, Mayavadi, he can also interpret it just by knowing Sanskrit very well. He can interpret it in a personal way, and this is how they misinterpreted Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, so many, shastras, and we don't want to read their interpretation, which is scholarly. It's based on a language, but it's not the true meaning of not according to the intention of the speaker. And speaker, for example, Bhagavad Gita is Krishna himself, and his intention is for us to surrender, to become his devotees, not to become impersonalists or something else. Yeah, that's why the Sanskrit studies would take whole life or minimum 10-15 years from early childhood in order for one to become expert to juggle the words and interpret it in different ways. Okay, let us continue. Verse 10. Tavad yatha bhuvam yuyam brahmakshatra sameditam sudayadvam tapo yagya swadaya vratadanina. While I'm engaged the business of killing Lord Vishnu, go down to the planet Earth, which is flourishing due to Brahmanical culture and Kshatriya government. These people engage in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, regulative vows, and charity. Destroy all people, thus engage. So here we have clear indication that he was not on Bhumandala, because he's saying go down to the planet Earth. I'm not sure whether it's go down or go up, but it's Bhuvam. So he was not on Bhuvam, but just Yata Bhuvam means go to the earth, go basically to Bhumandala, wherever they were. And it's possible that they were below the Bhumandala, because this is their natural inhabited, the Daitas and Danavas, they live down. So possibly he instructed them to go up to Bhumandala and destroy the Brahmanical culture there. Purport. Hiranyakashipu's main purpose was to disturb the demigods. He planned first to kill the Lord Vishnu, so that with the Lord Vishnu's death, the demigods would automatically weaken and die. Another of his plans was to disturb the residents of the planet Earth. The peace and prosperity of the residents of Earth and all other planets were maintained by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varnyam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. On all the planets, there are different types of residents, but the Lord recommends, referring especially to the planet Earth, which is inhabited by human beings, that society be divided into four varnas, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Before the advent of Lord Krishna on this earth, it is understood that the earth was managed by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The duty of the Brahmanas is to cultivate Shama, peacefulness, Dhamma, self-control, Titiksha, tolerance, Satya, truthfulness, Shaucha, cleanliness, and Arjavan, simplicity, and then to advise the Kshatriya kings how to rule the country or planet. Following the instructions of the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas should engage the populace in austerities and sacrifice, Vedic study, and adherence to the rules and regulations established by Vedic principles. They should also arrange for charity to be given to the Brahmanas, sannyasis, and temples. This is the godly arrangement of Brahmanical culture. People are inclined to offer yagya because unless sacrifices are offered, there will be insufficient rain. Yagyat bhavati parjanya, which will hamper agriculture activities. Parjanyat anasambhava. By introducing Brahminical culture, therefore, a Kshatriya government should engage people in performing yagya, studying the Vedas and giving charity. Thus, the people will receive their necessities for life very easily, and there will be no disturbances in society. In this regard, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Isham Bhogam Hivodheva Dasyante Yagya Bhavita Tardhatan Apradhya Ibyo Yobhunktestena Evasa. In charge of various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied with the performance of yagya, supply the necessities to men. But he who enjoys these gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So this is the system. You do sacrifice, you satisfy the devatas, and they give rain, and through which you get food. But nowadays, this system is not present anymore in human civilization. So what happens instead of that? Well, they do something called cloud seeding. Just recently, maybe a few days ago, in Dubai, which is in the desert, in the Middle East desert, United Arab Emirates, it's a complete desert there. So it means naturally, practically it never rains. But this time, some days ago, there was such a huge rain that Dubai was flooded. You know, the cars were floating in the water. And then what was the reason for it? That means they overdid it, their climate engineering thing that they're doing, cloud seeding and other things. And I think in China also happened recently, the floods. These are not natural, actually, floods. These are not natural. This is due to the geoengineering of the weather. And they're doing it already for many years.
Yes, yes. These days, especially this week, we
Big floods, yeah.
all day rains. already 1 week. Now
Yeah,
it is continue.
Okay, but your place is not flooded, at least, I hope. Your place is not
Yeah.
flooded, your city.
Yeah. My place is not, but the whole province.
Whole province, yeah. But these are not natural happenings. These are not natural floods. These are not natural rains. They are engineering the weather, and they are doing it in such a way that the reaction has to be there. You know, they cannot really regulate how much to clouds to see the clouds. So these things happen as the result. They want to control the nature instead of satisfying the demigods. That's why they get sometimes the opposite result. Anyway, the demigods authorize supplying agents who act on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yagyas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yagyas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what Personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yagyas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghostly form of material nature, and before the goddess, the sacrifice the animals, the sacrifice of animals is recommended. But for those in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. Ultimately, all yagyas are meant for the gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary man, at least 5 yagyas, known as Pancha Mahayagya, are necessary. So these Pancha Mahayagyas, they are in the Karma Kanda system. So for those who are not devotees, they are performing this Pancha Mahayagya to satisfy 5 different demigods who are providing the necessities of life. So one should know, however, that all the necessities of life that human society requires is applied by the demigod agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Consider, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grains, fruits, vegetables, milk, and sugar for persons in the modes of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians, such as meats, none of which can be manufactured by man. Then again, take for example heat, light, water, and air, which are also necessities of life. None of them can be manufactured by human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, or breeze, without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metals, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle for existence. This aim of life is attained by performance of yagyas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the ages of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy, for they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yagyas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yagya, namely the Sankirtan yagya, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. Hiranyakashipu planned to kill the inhabitants of earth so that yagya would stop and the demigods being disturbed would die automatically. When Lord Vishnu, the Yageshwara, was killed. This with the demoniac plans of Hiranyakashipu was expert in such activities. So he had knowledge that actually how this yaga process works. So he made a plan to starve Vishnu, Yageshwara, to death by stopping sacrifices. And Vishnu Thakur says, go to earth flourishing because of austerity of the Brahmanas and strength of the Kshatriyas. Why distort the performance of charity and vows? So this was the plan to kill all those who performed charities and vows. Let's see what Jiva Goswami says. If you have a desire to see him, then go to earth. Eleven. Vishnu Dvija Kriya Mulo Yagyo Dharma Maya Puman Devarshi Pitri Bhutanam Dharmasya Chaparayana. The basic principle of Brahminical culture is to satisfy Lord Vishnu, the personification of sacrificial and ritualistic ceremonies. Lord Vishnu is the personified reservoir of all religious principles, and he is the shelter of all the demigods, the great Pitas, and the people in general. When the Brahmanas are killed, no one will exist to encourage the Kshatriyas to perform yagyas. And thus the demigods not being appeased by yagya will automatically die. So the Kshatriyas are the one actually who sponsor, organize the yagyas. Although the Brahmanas may act as priests, but since yagyas cost a lot of money, Kshatriyas are those who are organizing and paying for it. And they are encouraged also by the Brahmanas to perform them. Purport, since Vishnu is the central point of Brahminical culture, Hiranyakashipu's plan was to kill Vishnu. For if Vishnu were killed naturally, the Brahminical culture would also be lost. With the Brahminical culture lost, yagya would be no longer performed. If a want of yagya, the regular distribution of rainfall would cease. Thus, there would be disturbances all over the world, and naturally demigods would be defeated. From this verse, we get a clear indication of how human society is disturbed when the Vedic Aryan civilization is killed, and the Vedic ritualistic world and the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies performed by the Brahmanas is stopped. Kala Shudra Sambhava, because the population of the modern world consists mostly of Shudras. The Brahminical culture is now lost and extremely difficult to establish in a proper way. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has recommended the chant of the holy name of the Lord, which will revive Brahminical culture very easily. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kal nast eva gatir anyatha. So this is the yagya that we are supposed to perform if we want not only rain, but everything else. So it's not that we are now supposed to light the fires and perform big sacrificial performances. No, we are simply supposed to perform Sankirtan, and then naturally rain and everything else will be there. So basically devotees are the only one today who are performing real yagyas. There might be few brahmanas here and there doing some fire sacrifices, but this is insignificant in proportion to the 7 billion people that we have on earth. So more kirtan and more sankirtan is what is necessary to save the modern civilization gliding down to hell. Because of the increment in demoniac population, people have lost Brahminical culture, nor is there a Kshatriya government. Indeed, the government is a democracy in which any Shudra can be voted into taking up the governmental reins and capture the power to rule. Because of the poisonous effects of Kali Yuga, the Shastra says, Dasya Prayeshu Rajasu, the government will adopt the policies of Dasyas or plunderers. So this is already quite obvious in the present world situation. If you see the profile of the world governments, they're more than plunderers. They're criminals. They're very, demoniac, you can say. Just even normal people can see it without much knowledge of the Shastra. Thus, there will be no instructions from the Brahmanas, and even if there are Brahminical instructions, there will be no Kshatriya rulers who can follow them. Aside from Satya Yuga, even formally, in the days when the demons were flourishing, and the Kashyapa planned to destroy the Brahminical culture and the Kshatriya government, and thus create chaos all over the world. Also in Satya Yuga, this plan was very difficult to execute in Kali Yuga, which is full of Shudras and demons. The Brahminical culture is lost and can be revived only by chanting the Mahamantra. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement or the Hare Krishna movement has been inaugurated to revive Brahminical culture very easily so that people may become happy and peaceful in this life and prepare for elevation in the next. In this regard, Sri Madhvacharya quotes this verse from Brahmanda Purana. Vipra yagyadi moolam tu harir ityasura matam harireva hi sarvasya moolam samyam mato nripa. O king, the demons think that Hari, Lord Vishnu, exists because of the Brahmanas and Yagya. But factually, Hari is the cause of everything, including the Brahmanas and Yagya. Therefore, though the popularizing of Hari Kirtan or the Sankirtan movement, the Brahminical culture and Kshatriya government will automatically come back, and people will be extremely happy. So through spreading of the Sankirtan movement, the civilization will come to its happy state. But before that happens, the present civilization has to collapse. And it came to almost to the brink of that. We can see what is happening nowadays in the world. The wars erupting here and there, and all other disturbances that are happening. So what we can do there, we cannot really, change anything except organize Sankirtan Yagya. And then by the mercy of the Lord, everything will be done naturally. The demoniac forces will be removed from governmental positions, and pious people will come. But still, some time is between us happening, but I think we are nearing very close. 50 years ago, Prabhupada said, in 50 years, this civilization will be finished. So it's basically now, or a few years from now. When the Brahmanas are destroyed, Vishnu himself will be destroyed. When the Brahmanas are destroyed, their actions will stop. Thus the root of Vishnu will be destroyed. With destruction of sacrifice and dharma, Vishnu's form will be destroyed. He is the supreme shelter of the Devatas and sages. With the destruction of the Devatas, he will die out of lamentation. Yeah, he is again projecting material qualities like lamentation to Lord Vishnu. Lamentation is a quality of a Shudra, for example, Shoka. Kshatriyas and Brahmanas, they do not lament. But Shudras do lament for whatever they lost and for whatever bad things are happening to them. So when Arjuna was lamenting at the beginning of Battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was telling him, doesn't befit you, such a Kshatriya as you, they never lament like this. Okay, 12, we have just 15 more minutes. Yatra yatra vijagavo veda vanashrama kriyaha tam janapadam yatau sandhi bhayata vrishtita. Immediately go wherever there is a good protection for the cows and brahmanas, and wherever the Vedas are studied in terms of the Varnashrama principles. Set fire to those places and cut from the roots of the trees there, which are the source of life. See, here's again, okay, I'll read. The picture of a proper human civilization is directly described here. In a perfect human civilization, there must be a class of men fully trained as a perfect brahmanas. Similarly, there must be kshatriyas to rule the country very nicely according to the instruction of the Shastras. And there must be Vaishyas who can protect the cows. The word Gava indicates that cows should be given protection. What is happening nowadays? That there is this narrative of climate change, that there is a global warming. And one of the main causes of the global warming is the carbon dioxide emissions that are unregulated. And one of the main sources of this carbon dioxide emission, according to some so-called experts from some so-called organizations, is that cows are producing too much of the carbon dioxide, which is responsible for global warming. So their solution is to completely remove the cows. I heard with my own ears one of the richest men in the world who is promoting so many initiatives that governments and countries around the world follow. Bill Gates, he's promoting that somehow we have to reduce the cow population, and that's why he has some companies making fake synthetic meat, which in one sense is much better than eating cow meat. But he wants to get rid of the earth of cows in order to fight the global warming. This is his idea, which is demoniac. So therefore, it's a demoniac civilization. The Varnashrama Dharma mentioned here is essential for human civilization. Unless there is a Brahmana to guide, a Kshatriya to rule perfectly, and a perfect Vaishya to produce food and protect the cows, how will people live peacefully? It is impossible. So instead of protecting the cows, they want to wipe them off, and in this way save the planet from global warming. So another point is that trees also should be given protection. During its lifetimes, a tree should not be cut for industrial enterprises. In Kali Yuga, trees are indiscriminately and unnecessarily cut for industry, in particular for paper mills that manufacture a profuse quantity of paper for the publication of demoniac propaganda, nonsensical literature, huge quantities of newspapers, and many other paper products. I think that these paper products now are not that much in demand as some other things because due to rise of internet, which was before Prabhupada's times, electronic books and electronic publications are becoming more and more in demand. And for this, some other minerals like lithium, they are being exploited. The earth is being exploited for different sort of minerals. So it's not the trees now anymore, as it was in Prabhupada's times. So this is a sign of demoniac civilization. The cutting of trees is prohibited unless necessary for service of Vishnu. Yagyartat karmano nyatra loko yang karma bandhana. Work done as a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu must be performed. Otherwise, work binds one to this material world. But if the paper mills stop producing paper, one may argue, how can our ISKCON literature be published? The answer is that the paper mills should manufacture paper only for the publication of ISKCON literature, because of ISKCON literature is published for the service of Lord Vishnu. Of course, if you would say to some regular people, they would say they would think this is, sectarian or crazy. This literature clarifies our relationship with Lord Vishnu, and therefore, the publication of ISKCON literature is the performance of yagya. Yagyarto karmananyata lokuyam karma bandhana. Yagya must be performed as indicated by the superior authorities. The cutting of trees simply to manufacture paper for the publication of unwanted literature is the greatest sinful act. So it will be, difficult to have a paper industry working only for publication of our literature. But still, Prabhupada is right, because only publication of Krishna conscious literature, whether it's ISKCON or not ISKCON now, there are many also non-ISKCON individuals and groups and organizations who are also producing Krishna conscious literature. So that is from the point of sinfulness and what is justified. This is justified. Otherwise, it's sinful to cut all these trees. BBT now also went into the ebook production, which is not much to produce, just to publish them. So they're also advertising their ebooks, and there is an app also, BBT app, which you can buy, and then you can download all your books on your mobile, all Prabhupada's books on a mobile phone. And even before BBT did that, there are some other Gita-based Pocket Vedas, some other apps where you can also have all Prabhupada's books. But the danger with this is if the modern civilization somehow collapses and there is no internet, or there are no any more mobile phones and laptops being produced and tablets, then the books, electronic books, will be lost. And what we are going to do? Luckily, we still have paper books, so paper books should be still there. But you can say also paper books they'll be damaged by the passing of time. They can survive 100, 200, 300 years. How many 100 years they can pass? So some devotees, they were thinking about that. But there is one initiative some devotees are doing to engrave all Prabhupada's books on titanium plates. Titanium plates, they're something that will last for thousands of years. So they're doing this, engraving Prabhupada's books on these titanium plates, and then once it's done, they will, you know, bury it somewhere under the ground. In the case, if the modern civilization is completely, you know, finished, if there is some third world war, nuclear war, something, everything is wiped out, at least these titanium plates with Prabhupada books will survive for the future survivors. This is the idea.
What's the place?
What is the
Titanic.
titanium
Yeah.
plates? These are the metal sheets made of very strong resistant metal. And then the devotees they engraving the Prabhupada's books on these titanium sheets, titanium plates.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they want the books to be preserved, even if something happens to the modern civilization and all these
Okay.
electronic devices are destroyed, all the paper books are burned. They want books to be preserved, so that's why they're doing this.
Yeah, very good.
So we are sure at least for 10,000 years the books will be there. After that, we don't know what will happen when Kali Yuga takes off more heavily. So I'll think just one more shloka will read. We are almost closing to 8 o'clock. So 13. Itite bhartri nirdesham adaya shira sadrita tata prajanam kadanam vidhadu kadana priyaha. The demons, being fond of disastrous activities, took Hiranyakashipu's instructions on their heads with great respect and offered him obeisances. According to his directions, they engaged in envious activities directed against all living entities. So the followers of demoniac principles, as described here, are thoroughly envious of general populace. In the present day, scientific advancement exemplified by such envy. The discovery of nuclear energy has been disastrous to people in general because demons all over the world are manufacturing nuclear weapons. The word Kadana Priya is very significant in this regard. Demoniac persons who want to kill the Vedic culture are extremely envious of the feeble citizens, and they act in such a way that ultimately their discoveries will be inauspicious for everyone, Jagatohita. The 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita fully explains how the demons engage in sinful activities for the destruction of populace. So Prabhupada 50 years ago, he's pointing at disastrous effect of discovery of nuclear weapons. And at that time, only a couple of countries, I think it was only US and the Soviet Union, they had nuclear weapons in 70s. But nowadays, you know, there are so many countries who have them. India has nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons. Iran has nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. And they're very easy, you know, to to start fighting. You know, the wars happen very easily. So if it comes to I think Israel in a recent conflict that they have actually, Israel's officials, they announced, they stated that if Israel's existence is questioned, if it's attacked from all the sides by the Muslim countries, they will use the nuclear weapons, they said. So, and you can bet that they will do it if it really, if their existence is really in danger. Also Russians, they can also use them if their existence is endangered. And how the world is going, you never know how it will end. So we are hoping it will not happen, but the potential is there. And it's much more than in Prabhupada's times. In Prabhupada's time, there was some so-called Cold War. But now this is not anymore Cold War. Now the tensions between the global West, as they say, NATO pact, and Russia and some other countries is greater than ever in the modern day history. So we should really chant our rounds very well, because you never know how long this world is going to exist in the present shape. Okay, I will stop here, and if you have any final comments or questions, otherwise we will continue next Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. Before I had
Yes,
one
yes, yes.
question. Yeah, you see, when we talk about the Krishna's pastimes, and then we see sometimes the law, the little Krishna, he will go to the gopis' home, and then it says that sometimes he will, he passes urines, and then he he agitate the child, and then he runs away.
So you want to ask about these bodily excretions of the Lord? How can
Yeah,
transtal body produce feces and urine?
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I
Maybe
understand.
it's just like the previous section you see, you talk about the law produce blood.
Yeah, the Lord's body is always transcendental, and
Yeah,
even such apparently, feces and urine that he is producing, it's again nothing material, but because he's playing as a human, he's playing pastimes as a human, he's producing something by yoga maya that looks like a human feces and urine, but it's actually it's not. I think it's we heard about the Lord Rishabhadev, who was doing this Python yoga, just lying on
yeah,
one place.
yeah,
And he was also, passing some stool and urine, but it's described in Bhagavatam that his stool and urine, they were not, they had no disgusting smell, but they were fragrant like lotuses. It was like a fragrance of the best flowers, of the lotuses and roses. It was not a bad odor. So that means that his body is not material, and the products of his body are also not material. Although externally, if you just look like it, it resembles to material things that we produce that are very disgusting, but actually it's not. It just looks like, but it's something completely different. Otherwise, how can feces and urine of Lord Shiva smell like a fragrance of lotuses and roses? So it means it's nothing
yeah.
material. It just resembles for the sake of the pastimes. So Lord is producing something, but it's not like our stool and urine, which is disgusting. So we should never think that the Lord's body is material and that anything produced from his body is also material. It's just pure transcendental substance, and yeah, it's for the
Very
sake of
good.
us.
Thank you. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you all very much. If there is nothing else,
A quick question. Would you be able
yes,
to find out the details of this app? You said that BBT have an app you're saying for books. I couldn't see it on an Apple phone, but
yeah, I had it actually, but then actually you can just download it on a Play Store, but then you need to buy books. Actually, you cannot
it's not like
download
Weatherbeck.
any.
It's
Just the app is there. I forgot the name. I will need to look.
Transcend. The
How,
name is Transcend.
oh, Transcend. Yeah, the Mataji knows. Yes, I remember. Transcend is the name in Google Play Store, and you download the app, but it's like a skin, and then you need to buy whatever you want, Bhagavat and this, that, all together. At least in India, it costs maybe 8,000 rupees to buy, if you find it worth Otherwise, I'm using on Android, I'm using some Gita base and some Pocket Vedas. More or less all Prabhupada books are there. It's not maybe the perfect app, but it works. You can check it out. I can post a link also for this Gita base. Gita base is more or less free. You can also have a paid version, but even in free version, you get all Prabhupada's books.
Yeah,
So
well, we have that way online available on Vedabase, but I was just interested.
I'm meaning offline. Offline, you can have it also on this Gita base for free, also offline. Even when flight mode, it still works. The books are still there. Pocket Vedas are still there. I'll put on a Telegram. I'll put the links where you can actually download these
Thank you.
apps and use it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
So-
I'll see you. Yes, Mataji.
But
You wanna
what,
say-
is there any Srimad Bhagavata's audio?
Srimad Bhagavatam audio.
Yeah, audio.
Yeah,
There
it's probably that's on the My Bhaktivedanta library. There's an app called BVL, Bhaktivedanta Vedic Library,
Oh,
and
okay.
audio version available of the whole Bhagavatam, of the whole CC, Bhagavad Gita. What
But
else?
this is online. Yeah, you can post the link for
You can
online,
do
but
online as well as offline.
there is also online. Offline, you can download.
Yeah, you can download it. It's quite big files. It takes a long time to download.
Long
It's
time. Yeah.
several months to download on a very fast Wi-Fi. But there is offline mode as well.
I have since long. I have from Amala Bhakta, reading of Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and some other devotees recently produced. I also have these MP3s, but
The online version isn't so reliable. It sometimes doesn't let you log in. I managed to download everything, and then you can just use it offline. If you're trying to use it online, it'll bookmark where you are and everything else. So you got Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, CC, Krishna books, Sri Upanishad, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and Nectar of Devotions. Those are the books that are available on audio.
Yeah, it's
Quite a lot
very
of work
useful.
has been
It's very
done. A lot of
useful.
work has been done. Yeah, no, it's.
Could you send the link in the
Please post
group?
in Bhagavad Dharma, this Telegram group. Please post the
I'll do
link
that.
for
I'll do
Mataji.
Okay.
I have on my phone. I have all audio of basically more or less all Prabhupada's books, or at least Bhagavad and Chaitanya Charitamrita I have. But this is also good. Just you have to be online.
You have audio versions, alternative audio versions?
Audio, yeah, audio versions I have, and I can't remember where I downloaded them. Maybe sometimes I can upload on my Google Drive once I have a
Okay,
time.
yeah, that'd be fantastic. And they're both by canto or chapter by chapter. You can actually go through them.
Canto by canto or something I can upload. Couple of devotees. One is Amala Bhakta Maharaj. That's kind of old recordings and a little dramatic. But I have the other one with the purpose also, with all Prabhupada purpose, whole Bhagavatam. It's a huge and whole Chaitanya Charitamrita with the purpose and without the purpose. Two different versions I have.
Yeah, this is English translations and the purports available.
English, yeah, the native speaker.
On BVL, you have basically the English translations and the purports. You don't have the Sanskrit.
Oh, you don't have the Sanskrit. Yeah, also here the same thing. I think just English without the Sanskrit, because sometimes if the speaker is not good in Sanskrit pronunciation, then becomes a struggle to listen that Sanskrit.
This is a disciple who again has a very, very thick American accent, but
the Sanskrit is not the best, and then it becomes a little difficult to listen that. Anyway, we can post whatever you have, and I have I will post the link whenever we get the time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you
you so much.
Thank you. So see you next Wednesday.
Yeah, see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.